This is my finished cold frame. I made it from old wooden windows. So I turned one of those into this. So if you'd like to see how you can build this and grow stuff with an extended season in a colder climate, we've already got some seeds planted and hoping for them to germinate and sprout soon. It's only March 1st. Shot of the double pane that I've already taken out of the wooden window frame. There is this epoxy layer which binds them together, and that's about it. It's very strong though. So what I'm going to end up doing is, starting in the middle, is make small cuts continuously down the inside edge of one of the panes of glass, and then when it starts to come off, you'll be able to get the blade in more, and the glass will have some bend to it in the center. You don't want to start on the corners, because I did that on my first one and I already broke the tip off of it. So start in the center and work your way towards the corners, and then once you get one of the glass panes free, it's fairly easy to repeat the same thing on the other side, and you'll be able see that the knife's going in, but you got to be careful forcing it all the way. You don't want to just push it in and go across, because if it's adhered well, it'll just crack the glass right across. So I'm going to keep working on that. Okay, so I've gone through on each side, and you can see now it's quite a bit more flexible. But before I do the ends, I realized that it'd be quicker to use the razor blade and remove the epoxy off the front and back before I remove this pane completely, because once that's removed, it could break under its own weight and it's hard to flip over. So if I do it now, I got quite the sturdy item to play with. So I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so I got this corner out. What I did is I just started in the center and worked my way to the edge of small cuts. So I'll do the same for that corner and the other two corners. And I scraped the front of the glass nice and clean. And then once I get this out, I'll have to scrape the epoxy off the inside edge. And then basically do that the same thing to the other side, except I'll be able to kind of lift up the epoxy and get the razor blade underneath as I cut, and it should come off a lot quicker. There. There it is. So clean up the epoxy that's left over on the other side, and then do the other side. So I want to add one thing to how to build a cold frame, and that's you might want to wear a pair of gloves, or maybe even a thicker pair of gloves when handling the glass. And that is because I did not cut myself, even though it looked like I was going to cut myself with the safety blade many times. I actually cut myself when I was just going to pick a piece of rubber off the side as I was cutting it away, and the edge of the glass sliced right into my finger, and it hurt, and it went pretty deep. But I'm all healed up now, and I've cut my wood pieces, and I haven't attached them yet. I just have the glass sitting in place, and I'm just going to explain what I did and why. And there's probably many ways to do this. So what I did is, this isn't quite like snug yet, but what I did was I have like a center member, side members, and the end members, and I've just routed a lip for the glass to rest on, and I've left, look like well, I don't have the other pane of glass in on the other side right now. That's where I'm standing, but I've designed the size so that there's a little bit of extra space, and that's just so that if the wood was to shrink up or something, it wouldn't like compress and break the glass. And like that looks like a pretty big gap there, but I don't have it positioned quite perfectly yet because I don't have everything screwed together, and that end's flush, so the glass would come this way a little bit, but I don't want to fall down. And then I routed right through to the end. Like I could have stopped and done some fancy work and done this little corner, but I'm not much of a woodworker, and I figured that would allow water to drain that might collect off the surface anyways, so it kind of seemed like a good idea by design. So yeah, at this point I'm just going to put like one screw in at each joint to attach them, and then I will lay a bead of outdoor caulking and set the glass in place and let it cure for 24 hours before moving it outside. So we laid a bead of outdoor caulking along the routed edge, which will bind the glass to the wood. We found on our other one that it's still quite flexible, and the glass is pulling off in areas where we weren't quite generous enough, so be generous with it. And we've considered maybe putting some pieces of wood over the glass on the ends just to help hold the glass in place in case the caulking ever broke, then the glass wouldn't fall out. But this will also help, the caulking will also help hold in the heat. Okay, so it's good to have two people to set the glass in place once they have the caulking all their way around the rim. And looks like it laid down nice. Heather tried to keep the caulking close to the edge because I have the extra room that I left, so you don't need caulking really there. And you could smooth it out if you want to. You don't need to. And now I'll let it dry for 24 hours inside, and I'll make the base, and then I'll set everything outside. So finish the frame, which we are going to bury about halfway down into the dirt and angle a little bit towards the sun. Our ground already slopes towards the sun, so it won't be that hard to do. I've just attached it with 2 screws. I'll be able to remove those and make any amendments if I need to later on in the year. And yeah, it's just the same dimension as the outer frame of the lid. That's quite easy to do.